Moschiach wird schon kommen. Als Moschiach wird kommen, wir machen das so, den Ju. Und was wollen wir essen auf der Sudan-Ju? Dem Schorhabor mit dem Schorhabor mit Liviosen. Dem Schorhabor mit Liviosen werden wir essen. Auf der Sudan-Ju. Und wer wird uns trinken auf der Sudan-Ju? Dem Jain am Schummer werden wir trinken, dem Schorber mit den Liviosen werden wir essen. Auf der Sudan-Ju. Und wer wird uns teure Sorgen auf der Sudan-Ju? Rabbi, du wird uns teure Sorgen, dem Jain am Schummer werden wir trinken, dem Schorber mit den Liviosen werden wir essen. Auf der Sudan-Ju. Und wer nun wird uns spielen auf der Sudan-Ju? Rabbi, du wird uns teure Sorgen, dem Jain am Schummer werden wir trinken, dem Schorber mit den Liviosen werden wir essen. Auf der Sudan-Ju. Und wer wird uns Chochmisse sagen, auf der Sudan-Ju? Schummer werden wir trinken, dem Schorber mit den Liviosen werden wir essen. Auf der Sudan-Ju. Und wer wird uns tanzen auf der Sudan-Ju? Schleime, Melech wird uns Chochmes sagen, Moshe Melech wird uns spielen, Moshe Melech wird uns Teure sagen, im Jahr ist schon mal weil wir trinken, im Scholler wollen wir lassen, weil wir essen. Auf der Tage, wenn ich nehm der Monnen sich, wenn ich bin a Kind gewesen, in der Heim, in Städtele am Moor, in die schöne Winternacht pflegen mir spazieren gehen und Chalamen, Chaloimes Oi, wie demult ist gewesen, asoi harzig, asoi schön, wenn mir Flänge gehen vorbei die Schul. Und der Hasen, so schöne Stimme, hat geklingen, so frim, bei dem Abend mit Preisgefühl. Geworden von mein alter Herr. Oi, wie es bängt sich noch mein Städtele, mein Jugend hab ich doch verbracht in dem. Das Gessene, das Schuliche, wie harzig und wie schön, Talmud Torah. Talmud Torah.
pleasant it is for all of us to sit together, to dwell together in community.
Kulanu yachad, hine shevet achim, shevet nashim, shevet kulanu yachad. Hinei ma tov u'ma na'im, shevet kulanu yachad. Hinei ma tov u'ma na'im, shevet kulanu yachad.
It was worth coming through the flood for the oud. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to those of you who made it through the flood and who are here on 30th Street with us. Shabbat Shalom, and welcome to those of you who are somewhere presumably drier and enjoying welcoming in home Shabbat. I hope you have hot chocolate. If this was not Shabbat, what would we be doing? Thank goodness for Shabbat. It has been a week, and at the end of every week, no matter how full, no matter how simple, no matter how complex, we have this gift of being able to turn off our electronics, of being able to turn off the part of our brains that is paying attention to small things, and to instead to turn our attention to the things that we are grateful for, the community that sustains us, and the tradition that holds us up even on days when we think we might collapse. I'm Rabbi Marisa James. I'm the Director of Social Justice Programming. I am so delighted today to be leading with, it's still so much fun to say this, Cantor, Sam Rosen, on the oud and on the voice. I want to thank you all. I know that especially on a day when it is wet, it is hard to keep our masks a bit dry. But I want to thank you all. I said to our cantorial intern, Cantor, we're in that funny space in between, but we're getting there. I am very much looking forward to the day when I am no longer every week thanking at least one person for sticking something up my nose. We test a lot to be able to be up here and to keep our community healthy. And I'm very grateful that this is a community where we are all doing our best to keep each other as healthy as possible. If this is your first time at CBST, or if it is your first time in this building, because we have been in this building for about 6 years now, but it is still new for some people, we would love to welcome you. And if you are willing, we're not going to out anybody, but if you are willing to stand up and tell us who you are and where you're here from, we would love to say hello to you. So if it is your first time, oh, brave, thank you. Tell us your name and where you're from.
I'm Sophia. I'm from Harlem.
Sophia, welcome from Harlem. So glad you made it down through the rain. Hi, welcome.
I'm Michael. I'm from St. Louis.
Michael, welcome from St. Louis. That's a schlep, but it's a good one. Anyone? Oh, yes.
I'm Alex. I live in upstate, but I'm from Iowa, and I've always heard about this place, and I'm very excited.
Oh, Alex, thank you. We're so glad to have you. I'm glad you finally made it here. Wow, from Iowa and from upstate. Amazing. Anyone else here? Oh, why, yes. Hello.
Hello, I'm Joanna, and I'm from Albany, New York.
And we are thrilled to have Joanna here tonight. You will hear more about her a bit later. Anyone else here for the first time? Wonderful. And for those of you who are joining us online, please introduce yourself in the chat in the same way that we are turning to each other and saying Shabbat Shalom. Turn to each other and say Shabbat Shalom. So to light our candles tonight, we have a very sweet group of candle lighters tonight. Somehow, CBST has a particular cohort of folks who were born in 1952. And if, unlike me, you can do math, you will notice that that means that those folks are all this year turning 70. So for all of you, there is a very deep request for all of the 1972, listen to me, the 1952 babies. I was an English major. So I'd like to invite up all of the 1952 babies, and I will read the names of at least most of them. Larry Finkelstein, Randy Axelrod, Debbie Metrick, Rafaela Anschel, Rick Landman, Meryl Soloway, Bruce Pachter, I didn't think Bruce is here, Ira Rosenblum, Shep Wachnun, remind me, and Terry Kramer. And I do want to say, as you're arguing over who's actually going to light the candles, there's this lovely Jewish tradition that there are 70 faces. There are 70 faces to Torah. And so I hope that as we look at all of your beautiful faces in this 70th year, the 70 faces of Torah, right, one for each year of your lives. You've had 70 faces of Torah. That means that you've absorbed the Torah of the world. And I hope that you will feel like you're able to reflect back that wisdom that you have absorbed in this incredible, incredible time together, and that we continue to celebrate more milestone days together. So I invite you to light the candles on behalf of the 1952ers.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kirshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
And we come together to sing Shalom Aleichem on page 40 as we welcome in the angels of rest on this day of rest.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni leshalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Good
Shabbat
Shabbos.
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Oh, just me. That's not the idea.
Yeah. No. We turn to page 52 as we move into the Psalms to welcome Shabbat. Page 52.
Lechu neranen al Adonai, nari al etzor ishenu, נקדמה פניו בתודה, בזמירות נריע לו. נקדמה פניו בתודה, בזמירות נריע לו. כי אל גדול אדוני, ומלך גדול על כל אלוהים, אשר בידו מחקרי ארץ ותועפות הרים לו. אשר בידו מחקרי ארץ ותועפות הרים לו. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בסרו מיום ליום ישועתו. איי 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 ספרו בגויים כבודו, בכל העמים נפלאותיו. כי גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד, נורא הוא על כל אלוהים. יאללה 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 יאללה
Please rise. We continue on page 62 with Psalm 29.
מזמור לדוד, הבו לאדוני בנעלים, הבו לאדוני כבוד ועוז, הבו לאדוני כבוד שמו, השתחוו לאדוני בהדרת קודש. קול אדוני על המים, אל הכבוד הרים. אדוני על מים, על מים רבים. אדוני על מים, על מים רבים. קול אדוני בכוח, קול אדוני בהדר. קול אדוני שובר ארזים, וישבר אדוני את ארזי הלבנון. וירקידם כמו עגל לבנון, וסיריון כמו בן רעמים, כמו בן רעמים. קול אדוני חוצב להבות אש, קול אדוני יכיל מדבר. יכיל אדוני מדבר קדש, קול אדוני יחולל איילות. ויכסוף יערות, ובהיכלו כולו מרכבות, כולו מרכבות, כולו מרכבות. אדוני למבול ושב וישב אדוני מלך לעולם. אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו ושלום.
You may be seated. We turn to page 66. Lecha Dodi. We imagine welcoming in. I always say this for Lecha Dodi, but it's the beautiful thing on Shabbat that we have this tradition that there is an extra soul that comes to settle into us for the 25 hours of Shabbat. And I like to think that Lecha Dodi, that we're singing in the Sabbath bride, but we are also singing in our own neshama yetera, our own extra soul. Right? I feel like my soul is a little bit ragged from this week. Right? She maybe needs a spa day. but there's somehow this extra soul that has not had that week, and she's just ready for Shabbos, right? I just had a little moment. It's been a while since I sang this, but right, there's a dinosaur knocking at my door, and she wants to spend Shabbat with me. And like, there's an extra soul knocking at my door, and she wants to drink the wine, and she wants to taste the challah. So as we are singing in Shabbat, as we are welcoming in the Sabbath Queen, the Sabbath Bride, the day of rest and joy and gratitude, you are also singing in that extra soul of your own that is ready, that is 100% ready for this day, for this rest. Page 66.
Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה. Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה. מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבת תחילה. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. מקדש מלך עיר מלוכה, קומי צאי מתוך ההפכה. רב לך שבט בעמק הבכה, והוא יחמול עלייכם נא. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התנא תחמי על יד בן ישי בית הלחמי קורבה אל נפשי גאה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה התעוררי כי באורך קומי אורי שיר דברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לא תבושי ולא תקלמי מה תשתוכחי ומה תהמי בך יחסו אני עמי ונבנתה יראתי לה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה והיו למשיסה שוסייך ורחקו כל מבלייך יסיס עלייך אלוהיך כמשוש ואהבה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה ימין ושמאל תפרוסי ואת אדוני תריצי היד איש בן פרצי ונשמחה ונגילה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה בואי ושלום עטרת שכינה גם בשמחה ובצהלה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה בואי חלה לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה איי 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 לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה.
You and your extra soul may be seated. Right, you can feel it in you. It's just sinking in. So now that we have formally welcomed in Shabbat with these initial psalms of Shabbat, this is the moment when we welcome into the Sanctuary New Mourners. This week we are surrounding with our love and support the most recently bereaved members of our community. So we welcome into our hearts, into the sanctuary, the beloved family and friends of Barry Karpel, Zichrono Livracha, who died exactly a week ago, really exactly a week ago. And Alan, Barry's husband, and Lois, Barry's mother, Sydney, Jackie, the puppies, everybody. We are so grateful that you are here with us, and we surround you with comfort and love. We're very grateful to have you here with us tonight. I would ask everybody on the bottom of page 71 to read with me in Hebrew and then in English the words of comfort. Hamakom yinachem etchem b'toch sha'ar avelim v'yavi lachem shalom. May God comfort you among all who mourn and bring you peace. And yes, thank you so much. And we're bringing books, prayer books over for you. We turn to page 72, the psalm with the words behind my head. Tov lehodot l'Adonai. It is good to give thanks. It is good to give thanks for this community. It is good to give thanks for the music that brings us into Shabbat. It is good to give thanks for the ways that we comfort each other and the ways we celebrate together, for the beauty of the natural world. Tov lehodot l'Adonai.
Ulizame בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות ואמונתך בלילות טוב להודות לאדוני.
To tell of your love in the morning and your faithfulness at night, to pluck the harp and strum the lyre, to make music and sing songs. This is neither a harp nor a lyre, it is an oud, but I think the psalmist meant that too. Please read with me the poem at the bottom of page 75. Praise me, says God, and I will know that you love me. Condemn me, says God, and I will know that you love me. Praise or condemn me, and I will know that you love me. Sing out my graces, says God. Raise your fist against me and be angry, says God. Sing out graces or express anger. Anger is also a kind of praise, says God. But if you sit fenced off in your apathy, says God, if you sit entrenched in I don't give a damn, says God, if you look at the stars and yawn, if you see suffering and don't cry out, if you don't praise and you don't condemn, then I created you in vain, says God. Please rise if you are able. We continue with the Baruch Hu on page 78.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
You may be seated. Please read with me at the bottom of page 81. The stars in the sky can be difficult to discern from the urban sidewalk. The dusk is an elusive guest. So what can we moderns, we city dwellers, make of the Ma'ariv Aravim? Perhaps the prayer functions not just to glorify creation, as our ancestors presumably intended, but like the rosy clouded sunset over the ink-blue Hudson, like the moon rising fast and large over the Queen's skyline, the Ma'ariv Aravim comes not just to sanctify creation, but to remind us simply that it is there.
מעביר יום ומביא לילה ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה אדוני צבאות שמו אל חי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד ברוך אתה אדוני
ברוך וברוך שמו
המעריב ערבים
Amen. Page 86.
אהבת עולם בית ישראל עמך אהבת עמך אהבת תורה ומצוות חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגי יומם ולילה, נהגי יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. אמן. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
Please continue individually on the texts, pages 90 through 92.
Adonai Elohechem Emet.
Page 94. We move into the song that our people sang as we crossed the sea, whether we had a tambourine in our hand or not, moving into something new that we did not know. Page 94.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש. נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים. זה אלי אנו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר, כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני,
ברוך הוא ברוך שמו,
גאל ישראל. Amen.
Page 98. Hashkivenu. Help us, O God, to lie down in peace, and teach us that peace means more than quiet. Remind us that if we are to be at peace at night, we must take heed of how we live by day. Grant us the peace that comes from honest dealing, so that no fear of discovery will haunt our sleep. Rid us of resentments and hatreds that rob us of the peace we crave. May we inflict no pain, bring no shame, and seek no profit by another's loss. May we live so that we can face the whole world with serenity. May we need feel no remorse at night for what we have done during the day. May we need feel no remorse in the daytime for what we have done during the night. May we lie down in peace tonight and waken tomorrow to a richer and fuller life.
Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo ve'al kol hamim shalom. Ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo ve'al kol hamim shalom. Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael.
Please rise if you are able. We turn to page 102 for V'shamru.
V'shameru b'nei Yisrael et hashabat la'asot et hashabat לדורותם ברית עולם. איי 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 ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת, וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש.
Following the Chatzi Kaddish on the next page, we will recite the Amidah individually and silently. The traditional text begins immediately following the Chatzi Kaddish on page 106. There are alternative poetic readings on page 124, and as always, there are the words in your heart, whatever it is you need to say to God tonight or whatever it is you need to say to yourself. Chatzi Kaddish, page 104.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, אמן. בעלמא דברי הכנותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל. בעגלה, בעגלה, ובזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם ולעלמי עלמי ויתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה ברכו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה. תושבחתה ונחמתה, ואמירן בעלמא ויאמרו אמן. יהיו לרצון אמרי פי והגיון ליבי לפניך, אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי וגואלי, יהיו לרצון אמרי פי והגיון ליבי לפניך, אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי
it is quite lovely to have another chorus alumni on the bima. It's quite lovely. Our service continues with a prayer for healing on page 130. משברך אמותינו שרה רבקה לאה רחל בלכה וזלפה ואבותינו אברהם יצחק ויעקב הוא יברך וירפא את החולים. May the one who blessed our ancestors Sarah, Rivka, Leah, Rachel, Bilcha, and Zilpah, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, bless us too. Bless and heal all those who are ill. We include in our healing prayers tonight Erica Foreman, Joseph Goldberg, Lauren Goldrich, Casey Steele, Solomon Vastias, Rose Wachnun, Shep Wachnun, John Zimmerman, Baruch Yehoshua ben Moshe David Verut, Shlomo Zalman ben Shena Risha, Ze'ev Wolf ben Esther Miriam, and say out loud in the names of anyone else we are praying for healing tonight. And we include in our healing prayers all those currently with COVID-19. I feel like there's a lot of them right now in the CBST community and around the world. May they be blessed with a full and complete healing, a healing of spirit and a healing of body, together with all those who are ill among the Jewish people and around the world. May those who will not be healed on this earth be blessed with nights free from suffering and days filled with peace. May God grant strength and comfort to those who care for the sick. May God help us to find hope and courage as we face fear and loss. May all who are ill be surrounded by the love of friends, loving companions, families, and community. And let us say, Amen. I am actually going to invite our cantorial intern, Cantor, Sam Rosen, I just want to keep saying it as much as I can, to read the prayer for our country, which somehow has not yet ceased to be relevant. Sam, you are a cantor. You can pick whichever side of that prayer you want to read. And I invite you, when Sam starts reading, to please join in. The more blessings we have, the better.
Page 6 of the program will begin below the line in the middle. Source of all life, guide our leaders with righteousness. Strengthen their hearts, but keep them from hardening, that they may use their influence and authority to speak truth and act for justice. May all who dwell in this country share in its bounty, enjoy its freedoms, and be protected by its laws. May this nation use its power and wealth to be a voice for justice, peace, and equality for all who dwell on earth. May we be strong and have courage to be bold in our action and deep in our compassion, to discern when we must listen and when we must act, to uproot bigotry, intolerance, misogyny, racism, discrimination, and violence in all its forms, to celebrate the many faces of God reflected in the wondrous diversity of humanity, to welcome the stranger and the immigrant, and to honor the gifts of those who seek refuge and possibility here, as they have since before this nation was born. Let justice well up like waters, and righteousness like a mighty stream. And let us say, Amen.
We continue with Kaddish Shalem on page 138.
יתקדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, אמן. בעלמא דברי חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון ובימיכון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו, אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה ברכו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן. תתקבל צולות הון ובאות הון דכל ישראל כל דם אבוהון דיבי שמיה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלום הרבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום. עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו אמן.
Yasher koach. It is a real delight tonight to invite to our bima for some words a guest who I need to tell you, we actually had hoped to invite her to speak before the pandemic. So this really feels like it has been 3 years in the making. Johanna Morn, who is with us tonight, is the Deputy Director for Community Health for the New York State Department of Health, Office of Public Health, and is the director of both the AIDS Institute and the Center for Community Health. And I will say that CBST has been part of the network of faith communities that have been connected to the AIDS Institute for a long time. They are dear and wonderful partners, so this is quite a wonderful thing. Her portfolio includes HIV, sexually transmitted infection prevention and care, viral hepatitis, drug user health, and LGBTQ+ health and wellness. They're focused on chronic disease prevention, epidemiology, nutrition, and family health. There is so much about public health that I feel like this congregation knows from our experience during the AIDS crisis and through now during COVID, that other congregations I feel like don't quite have the same depth of knowledge that this community has. And it is really something that we have wanted for a very long time to understand better. Where are we now? Where are all these issues right now? What can we be doing now that can be shifting things, that can be helping movement, that can be increasing public health at a time when we can see it is so desperately necessary? A small group of us just walked in the AIDS Walk this past week, and part of why this is possible that we have you here tonight is because Jay Fisher and Michael Lehrman made a gift to CBST to honor Rita Fisher and Alex Fisher, Zichronam Livracha, and to be able to use that legacy to drive some more deepening of our knowledge of AIDS and HIV, and more broadly of what our role is in this moment in public health more broadly. This is something that is so in our DNA of who we are. For those of you who have read our 40th anniversary book that was written by Rabbi Ayelet Cohen, my favorite chapter of that book is the chapter about HIV and AIDS and the impact on this community. Not only because it tells the story of so many individuals who really helped shape who we are today, but also because it tells the story of how this community took care of each other. And as Rabbi Kleinbaum likes to say, the ark that we build to make sure that as many of us as possible can get through to the other side. So I am absolutely delighted to welcome Johanna to the Bima to speak. I'm going to switch out the microphones for you. And to learn a little bit about where are we now and who are we in this moment, and we are very grateful that you are here.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you. Thank you so much, and good evening. And I am so grateful to join you. I have to say, actually before I make that statement, I want to acknowledge, of course, my colleague and my friend, Jay Fisher, for the opportunity in creating the path for me to get here. It took us some time, but I'm here and I'm grateful. And I'm grateful not only for the opportunity, can I remove this? Okay. Thank you. I'm grateful not only for the opportunity of being here to celebrate with you this evening and to join you, and for those online as well, but for the very intentional statement that was made in the beginning, in that we're able to be present. And there's so much that's happening in our world right now. There are so many of us that are still impacted by COVID-19. The acts of violence that we have seen in our own state just this last Saturday, based on hatred and race. The loss of your family member, and my condolences. Absolutely. There are so many things that are happening. So the opportunity to come together as community where there is just a sense of hope and an understanding that even in the midst of the challenges that we face, that there is a sense of hope and there is a sense of community. And I thank all of you for ensuring that these safe spaces exist. Rabbi James, I thank you very much for your patience in our preparation and for having me here as well. And so much of what you do is part of what I'll talk about this evening, and that what the congregation is, it's an embodiment of what we in the AIDS Institute, the 500 or so of us in the AIDS Institute strive to do. And that's to provide encouragement, empowerment, supporting communities, and facing head-on the continued stigma and discrimination that so many of us experience just for being who we are. The congregation, as you know, continues to be, and as you said, an ally and a partner, and you have been since the start of this epidemic. And I want to take a moment to recognize the important work that already has been in motion, and that as you continue to think about what are the additional ways in which you can contribute to the areas of social justice and community and creating safety, the Shizak Red Ribbon team that was created working to eliminate prejudice and stigma against individuals who are diagnosed with HIV and to increase awareness and acceptance. To talk to me about HIV program, raising awareness amongst faith leaders, and the groundbreaking You Can Talk to Me About HIV video, which amplifies why members and others can feel comfortable to talk about their diagnosis with their faith leader. What you have done is you have created another opportunity within community to be a model. That in creating the spaces you have and creating the partnerships that you have, there has been an opportunity to ensure that there is access and more importantly, that there's safety when seeking HIV testing or hepatitis C screening, when having conversations and needing support as it relates to immigration and other legal services. I know that there's an ARC immigration clinic and an ending mass incarceration team, and all of those are examples of what we're trying to do. We talk a lot in public health about data, right? And especially in COVID-19, all of the media that you see, everybody points to the data and questions the data and questions the science and wonders who's the expert. The reality is community is the expert because the most obvious evidence is based in our lived experiences. And so when we collect data in order to provide some type of understanding collectively of what's happening, whether it be in our state or within our communities, we do so based on the reporting of lived experience. And so that's why you always, when you're creating anything, have the input of individuals who are actually walking through life and understanding what it is to attend a doctor's appointment. And for some, the experience can be wonderful. And for others, the experience can be a bit challenging, whether it's due to stigma or to shame. And so the work that you're doing continues to push forward with the education, the awareness, and the opportunity to gain even more ability to ensure that we're doing everything we can collectively to serve people. I again want to recognize a longstanding partnership with the AIDS Institute's Faith Communities Project, known as FCP. My colleague Carol Terrell is a longstanding member of the AIDS Institute who has committed her entire career to developing partnership amongst government and faith community, and it has proven to be exceptional. The work that's been done has certainly advanced HIV prevention as well as our healthcare efforts, and even more importantly, has addressed the spiritual needs of individuals. For so many, their faith community that perhaps they were raised in wasn't able to provide the spiritual nourishment or support that individuals look for. And so the work of the FCP, the Faith Communities Project, helps communities of faith to look at their practices and their policy and their faith and their words to engage and comfort and create safe space for others. Thanks to your significant work, the synagogue provides a safe spiritual space for LGBT youth, especially those from Orthodox communities who are not necessarily in a position to speak with their family and do not necessarily have the level of support that we would hope others would have. And so the community that's created is in essence a family. Authenticity is a courageous act. And together we continue to create spaces such as here, where being one's authentic self is not only supported, but encouraged. We are all not just one particular being, or we don't identify in just one way. We're sons, daughters, nieces, nephews, friends. We may identify as LGBTQ or have any type of diagnosis or be of any particular race. But that single explanation of who we are is just that. That's a part of who we are. We talk a lot about making sure when we respond to people, we're responding to the whole person. And we're made up of so many different components of who we are. We're complicated beings. And, right? We're complicated beings. And so building community is about creating that space where we can bring all of who we are. The way forward in combating stigma, it's intersectional. And one of the community's challenge is, in fact, all of our challenge. But coming together in solidarity and in a unified front, the message gets amplified. In your singing this evening, there are times when it's lower, and then when we look to our leader, you raise our voices. That's how we amplify our messaging. What we have to do is continue to work with others across different sectors, across the neighborhoods, across the communities, and create safe spaces where we can be true, authentic selves. Every 5 years, we in the AIDS Institute, we work with partners in the community to issue a survey. And our intention behind the survey is not just to collect information, but in fact, it's to help us inform what it is that people need. And so through that process, in this particular survey, we are asking the questions and looking for the input of members of the LGBTQ community. Because what we need to understand is what have we done that has worked, and what are still outstanding challenges that people are experiencing. And so that allows us to work with our partners to make sure that we are providing the fiscal support and allocating that support in a way that makes sense. Our state is a huge state. Our state is broad and diverse, and our state has multiple needs. And so making sure that we are speaking to the unique needs and nuances of each of our communities is key. And so through that survey process, we learn and we give voice and space to people's experiences. You may be familiar with the fact that in 2015, New York State made an announcement that in fact we wanted to be first in the nation to end the epidemic, the HIV epidemic. And in that declaration, the intention was never to say that we would achieve zero. We can never say that. We have over 100,000 individuals living in New York State diagnosed with HIV. But what we can say is that we have a statewide network and community that can contribute to making sure we provide access to individuals related to testing. We ensure that individuals who are diagnosed have access to health care and achieve viral suppression. And we provide education, awareness, and access to PrEP, or pre-exposure prophylaxis, for the prevention of HIV transmission. Some years ago, I think about 5, people said we were taking a risk. And I want to just take a moment, and please stop me if I'm over time. I want to take a moment, I want to talk about an individual who lives in New York State, and his name is Bruce Richmond. And Bruce Richmond came to my office one day, and he was this very handsome, energetic man. And he sat down and he said to me, "It's time that the state listen." And I said, "Okay, as a representative of the state, I'm listening." And he said, "People need to know the truth, that people who are living with HIV cannot sexually transmit the virus if in fact an individual is if an individual's viral load is suppressed." And so I said, "Okay, Bruce." I said, "Well, where is this science to support this?" "Here," hands me a book. "Okay." So I went to the doctors and I said, "This is what this individual is telling me." And so we spent weeks, months debating language. Well, is it that if an individual has a suppressed viral load that the transmission risk is negligible? Is it that if an individual has a suppressed viral load that the risk of transmission is less likely? And finally we came to a place where we said, well, why don't we just say what the science said, and that an individual who has a suppressed viral load cannot transmit the virus sexually, right? Cannot. Period, end of sentence. And so New York State Department of Health became the first Department of Health to sign on to this statement, to this policy. And, you know, Bruce amazed me. He had spent the prior 10 years of his life going to every federal, state, community leader that would listen to him, and he never got anywhere. But what was key to Bruce is that, one, he had a fierce temper, and two, he never gave up. And he demanded to get into doors, and he demanded to be heard. And today, the United States, among many other countries across this globe, have accepted and have moved forward with the understanding that you cannot sexually transmit HIV with viral suppression. So what did that do? That allowed us another opportunity to promote treatment, to promote testing, to promote treatment, and to promote adherence. And I'll never forget, I was at a conference and we were doing, so the term for anyone who may not be familiar is U equals U, undetectable equals untransmittable. And so I was at a conference and I was asked to be part of a panel to talk about U equals U. And there was a gentleman in the audience, and the individual spoke, and the individual said, you know, I need to tell you this story. He says, I was in a relationship where I'm positive and my partner was negative. And we were married for 30 years. And my entire married life, I was terrified that I would expose my partner to HIV. And he says, my wife died 2 months ago. And so he took a moment, and then he says to the entire audience, he says, my wife died of breast cancer, HIV negative. And if I had known all those years that I couldn't transmit the virus because I was always virally suppressed, imagine how different and how much more present I could have been in my relationship. And that has stuck with me forever, that our obligation is to make sure that people are educated and people are aware so that people can make informed decisions. And with every activity and every initiative and every commitment that you all make, that's exactly what you're doing. And you're helping to make sure that there is no other partner who realizes at the end of the time in which their partner is present, that they were never a risk. So you learn a lot at conferences. When you have opportunities to listen to others, you learn a lot. So anyway, as it relates to ending the epidemic, as it relates to the work that you're doing and how we continue to partner moving forward, we're still in a forward movement on ending the epidemic in our state. In fact, in 2019, we achieved the original goal, which was to ensure that we had achieved HIV prevalence in New York for the very first time, meaning that the number of individuals who were diagnosed with HIV was lower than the number of individuals who had passed away. And so that was 2019. And then came COVID. And so while I will say that COVID has provided us with many lessons, the COVID pandemic and the response created a lot of opportunities for us to have to think about how we do things differently, how we make sure that individuals who normally would seek testing in a brick and mortar facility had access to home tests. And we're seeing this play out again with COVID-19, right? Everyone should have received their most recent link. You can order more free tests from the federal government. We had to make sure that people who were in isolation, who were feeling depressed and lonely, that they had some type of support. Granted, it was by screen, but screen has proved to be quite effective for many people. And in fact, what I've said to everyone is that we may have opened and will continue to further open our doors, but we will always have screen, because what screen created for people was a level field. It didn't matter where you sat in New York, you were on the same screen as everybody else, no matter where they sat. And for people who can't necessarily have access, you know, New York City, I was coming on the subway and I heard the recording and it said that the station we were pulling into was an accessible station. And I thought to myself, well, shouldn't every station be an accessible station, right? Right? And I thought, what would I do? So being from upstate New York, you know, I get in my car, I get from A to B, and I go about my day. But having to rely on the transportation, the public transportation in the way that we do here in the city, every station should have access. So, you know, these are the things that when you look at what are the barriers and what are the challenges to ending the epidemic, these are some of those areas. But with them comes opportunity. So, you know, I want to just talk a little bit, and I'm assuming that some of this is known, but the AIDS Institute has a very long history of working with the LGBTQ community. And certainly, you know, our priority is for the health and wellness of individuals. And so we actually provide funding and support and technical assistance to 37 different agencies that are led and provide service and care to individuals who identify as being from the community. And through COVID, you know, had to really think about some extraordinary ways to make sure that people still felt part of. The isolation that was experienced and the trauma that some individuals have experienced as a result of that is very real. And so that's part of what we're working on now. How do we respond to the trauma? I'm a huge fan of trauma-informed care, which means that we create spaces and organizations that from the moment you walk in to the moment you depart, anyone you encounter is trained and able to speak from a trauma-informed care space, which means we recognize and honor your trauma, and we want to create a space in which we don't further perpetrate what has caused you to feel scared or to feel victimized. We actually have done, this is our 4th year of working with hospitals and community-based organizations to make sure that trauma-informed care becomes a routine part of the way care is offered. In addition to that, working with our LGBTQ partners to really talk about the challenges, going back to the assessment, and the areas that have been even further challenged. And so in our next year, we'll be having conversations about how can we continue to provide areas of support, and how do we build within our faith communities to make sure that there are additional spaces for individuals. You know, talking about our sort of space socially and talking about the things that many of us are focused on from a social justice perspective, it can be overwhelming. And what I want to say is that communities such as what you have here can help make that overwhelming feeling manageable, because we have to continue to stand strong and to move forward together. It's the only way in which we will be able to impact not only public health, but individual health and care. And so I applaud and I thank you for everything that you do, for the community that you create, for your willingness to move out from these walls and be part of the broader community, and for providing compassion and empathy to so many people who don't on a routine basis encounter either of those. What I can tell you is that even in the face of a pandemic, we remain committed to the work that we do at the AIDS Institute. We remain committed to the people that we serve, and we understand that we are in a position where we can impact change. And together, I'm confident that we'll continue to do so. So I thank you to those online. I thank you as well. And I can't say enough how grateful I am for the opportunity to actually be present without a phone in my hand, and to learn from all of you. Thank you.
Joanna, thank you so much. And I will say that, yes, the Faith Institute especially has been a wonderful partner. I think many of you know that pre-pandemic, we were also hosting regular free AIDS testing on site. We are very much hoping to be able to resume that at some point soon. And I will also say, Joanna mentioned the program where we had the Talk to Me About HIV, where we were teaching other faith leaders. We were teaching student rabbis and cantors about stigma and about how to approach HIV and AIDS in their communities, right? This is not something that a lot of faith leaders learn in school. I think one of the things that was very meaningful for me at the AIDS Walk this past week, some of you know that when we walk in the AIDS Walk, we wear rainbow ribbons with the names of CBST members who we lost to AIDS. And this year I was carrying Irving Cooperberg. And I kind of felt the weight of all of the Cooperberg Rittmaster rabbinical interns who we have sent out into the world over the years. And this weekend, actually, this was in the e-news this week, there's something quite profound happening this week. The Reconstructionist Rabbinical College graduation on Sunday, they will be honoring the folks who have been rabbis for 25 years. Right? There's an honorary doctorate that is given to rabbis who have served in the field for 25 years. It is called a Doctor of Divinity. I will say that we often joke and call it the didn't die, because if you've served in the rabbinate for 25 years, that's a lot of rabbiing. And two of the people who are getting their Doctors of Divinity this weekend are CBST's first two Cooperberg Rittmaster rabbinical interns, Rabbi David Steinberg and Rabbi Lena Zerberini. So for those of you who were here, I think 94, 95, and 95, 96, right? That's 25 years of rabbinical and cantorial students who have gone out into the world with, among other things, this deep understanding of what it means to tackle stigma in their communities, of what it means to even understand how to react if somebody comes to them and says, you know, I need you to know that I'm HIV positive, as we're talking about whatever X thing they're talking about. To have them not be like, oh, really? Isn't that nice? You know, that some of the ways that the stigma has stayed in our community can still be really hard to overcome. So the fact that we have 25 years worth of rabbis and cantors serving in the field thanks to Irving Cooperberg and a lot of other generous human beings who have made that possible. We're very grateful for this ongoing partnership, and I'm very grateful for everybody here who has been part of the learning that this community has really sent out into the world, into all of the clergy who have learned here and bringing that wisdom. Whew. So we're going to resume our service. I will ask you to please rise if you are able. We continue with the Aleinu on page 140.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שברא אותנו בצלמו, ונפח בנו את נשמת חיינו, שהעמיק אותנו בלימוד תורתו, וקידשנו במצוותיה, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד ארץ, ומושב עיקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים, בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
You may be seated. We are in the midst of counting the Omer. We are a little more than halfway between Passover and Shavuot. And we turn to page 228 for the blessing. And then we will turn the page for the counting. Yesterday was the 34th day of the Omer. Do with that what you will. Page 228 is our blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sefirat ha'omer. Hayom chamisha u'shloshim yom shehem chamisha shavuot la'omer. Today is 35 days, which is 5 weeks of the Omer, 5 out of 7. Very much looking forward to Shavuot, and not only because of the blintzes. Please turn with me to page 151. Before we do the Mourner's Kaddish, I just wanted to say that so on Monday, Mayor Adams convened an interfaith prayer vigil at Bethel Gospel Assembly in Harlem to honor and remember the victims of the racist mass shooting in Buffalo that took place on May 14th. The rabbi they invited to speak was Rabbi Sharon Kleinbaum. And I want to say that she really represented CBST gorgeously. If you have not seen the video of the of this service. I so highly recommend listening to her speak. It's incredibly moving. I do want to read an excerpt from her remarks as an extra little taste of, so that you'll go home and after Shabbat really listen to the whole thing. So this is Rabbi Kleinbaum from Bethel Church. White nationalism fears Black people, Jews, LGBTQ people, immigrants. They have a theory called the replacement theory, that Black people are going to replace white people. Well, let me just say this. It's about time. They have a replacement theory that immigrants are going to become powerful in this country and have power positions of leadership. It's about time. It's always been true. They fear that LGBTQ people will have families, will be in leadership, will be your rabbis and pastors and imams. They'll be teaching your children. They will be your children. They will be you. They're not wrong. But we too have a replacement theory. Let's not forget that. We will replace hate with love. We have a much more powerful replacement theory because our replacement theory is that love will be more powerful. That we, all of us, who are being fed a narrative of hate in order to separate us, to divide us, to be suspicious of each other, we will reject those narratives of hate, and we will replace those narratives with love and friendship, fellowship and love. The names of those who were killed in Buffalo: Geraldine Talley, age 62, Ruth Whitfield, age 86, Roberta Drury, age 32, Aaron Salter, 55, Hayward Patterson, 67, Pearl Young, 77, Celestine Cheney, 65, Catherine Massey, 72, Margus Morrison, 52, Andre McNeil, 53. We pause in every service to remember those in our community whom we have lost, those of our own loved ones who we are remembering, who we lost in years past or in more recent days. The CBST community mourns deeply the loss of Barry Karpel. Barry died 10 minutes before Shabbat last week on May 13th. We were welcoming in Shabbat in the hospital room together. We extend our condolences, Alan Levy, to his husband, to Lois Karpel, his mom, to Beth, his sister, to all of you who are here, to Jackie, to Sydney, to Hallie. I did not write down everybody's name, I am so sorry, but the whole family and the whole Poppy crew, you have all been amazing and wonderful, and we hold you every moment. We also are remembering this week CBST member Irva Shivad, giant in the LGBTQ community, who died on May 14th. And we send our condolences to her wife, Kate Clinton, and to everyone in the community who loved and was inspired by her. This week, we also recognize the Yahrzeits, the anniversary of the deaths of our members, Michael Sussholtz and Walter Schwartz, and of family and friends, Leonard Friedlander, Rosalind Kindelson, Frederick Largman, Morton Singer, Joe Elgarten, Morris Levy, Tal Barshank, Philip Rubin, Harold Levine, definitely a different one, Ethel Rosen, it's so strange, Alvin Gursky, Anita Siegel, Betty Schneider, Bernice Schwaber. And we offer our condolences to the families, friends, and communities of all those who are dying from the COVID-19 pandemic. As of today, the total number of deaths are 40,311 in New York City, 69,239 in New York State, 1,028,337 across the United States, and 6,297,367 worldwide. We very much look forward to the day when we can stop updating those numbers every week. Mourner's Kaddish is on page 150. Please stand if you are saying Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Bialma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon uvyamechon b'chayei dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach leolam ulamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'it hadar, v'it ale, v'it halal, shemei dekudsha, brechu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran bi'alma v'imru, amen. Heishnem Rabba min Shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru, amen. May their memories be a blessing, and may those blessings be all the blessings that we need. You may be seated. And I will invite up our president, Sabrina Farber, for some announcements.
Thank you, Rabbi James. Shabbat Shalom, and welcome to CBST. It is so wonderful to welcome Shabbat with each of you here in the sanctuary and all of you online. Thank you to our Baal Tefillah, Cantor Sam Rosen. I can say that again, Cantor Sam Rosen. Thank you for sharing your magnificent voice and heart with us and for bringing your oud this week. That is very special. Thank you to Rabbi Marisa James for your service leadership tonight, your leadership of social justice at CBST every single day, and your magnificent voice. A special thank you to Joanne Mourn for your insightful words. As you heard about Joanne, we are so very, very fortunate to have her come and speak at CBST tonight. Thank you again to Jay Fisher and Michael Lehrman for making that possible. Join us tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. for our traditional egalitarian Shabbat services. I have it on good authority that not only will Cantor Sam Rosen be there, but the Devar Torah will be given by our very own member and JTS student Jonathan Adler. Join us on Zoom tomorrow night at 8:30 for Havdalah. I can't tell if 8:30 is the new time, the old time, the medium time. It's 8:30 this week for those of you who are interested, led by Cantor Sam Rosen. And Sunday, we have the joy of telling you about dueling marches, just in case you really want to travel in New York. You can do that on Sunday, and I'll give you the details now. You can join us at noon on the Riegelman Boardwalk for Brighton Beach Pride. This year, we march in solidarity with Ukraine. Registration is on Facebook. We are very excited to join this march, which is organized by Rusa LGBT. Sunday, slightly earlier at 11:30, if you'd rather stay in the borough of Manhattan, you can join us for the Celebrate Israel Parade. We will have a contingent that will be marching with the LGBTQ cluster, which includes JQY, A Wider Bridge, and Keshet. The link to register is in the e-news, and there'll be a specific meetup place there. Join us on Monday, May 23rd, which is just a few short days away, for our most recent concert for social justice. I'm telling you, Adria Benjamin wanted to be here tonight. She tried very, very hard to get here. Unfortunately, her gig ran late, so she was unable to join us and announce the concert herself. I am doing the best I can. It is going to be a gorgeous concert of chamber music for social justice, and we are so fortunate to have them in our synagogue, so join us on Monday night. Then, looking ahead a little bit, join us on Wednesday, June 8th at 6:30 p.m. for a very, very special meeting. It's called Beyond Isolation, Finding Community, calling all LGBTQ plus Jews in their 20s, 30s, and 40s. This meeting will be at CBST, and you can register online. This is an outgrowth of a task force that met much earlier this year to talk about the next generation at CBST and programming for them and looking ahead and planning. And so this is one of the next steps, which is to have a meeting and invite the community to come and share ideas. Please join board members Jason Littman and Johanna Sanders for this conversation. There will be time to schmooze, you can meet new people, and hopefully, if COVID is good to us, enjoy a nosh. Obviously, COVID restrictions permitting. And then join us on Sunday, June 12th, speaking of concerts, for our June concert at 4 p.m. This year, the title is Let My People Eat. We have none other than Cantor Sam Rosen to thank for this concert. It is based on and largely shall I say, ripped off of Sam's senior recital. However, it's okay, because we're giving him kavod and we're making sure that we credit him properly. We're adding other music, we're adding more folks who will perform, including the CBST chorus. So it's based on, as I said, his senior recital at HUC. We're delighted to present this revised version at CBST, and we look forward to seeing you there. I will take this brief moment, because I'm president and I do have this job at CBST, to remind you that our June concert is a very important fundraiser for CBST. It is one of our key events during the month of Pride, and as you know, Pride is like the LGBTQ high holidays. I encourage you to come to the concert. I encourage you to make a significant donation if you're able for Pride, whatever is meaningful to you. Come and enjoy with us. And this is my last one. Join us on Tuesday, June 14th for a special screening of the film Flea at the Upper West Side JCC. This screening is made possible by CBST board member Stephen Raphael, who is co-chairing this event with board member Noemi Mazlia. This event will be the kickoff to our Open Door campaign. So while the movie is free, we encourage you. In fact, I'm actually telling you, like, imagine this is your mother talking to you. You're going to a movie for free? You better make a nice donation to the synagogue. So help me make that happen. And for those of you who are interested in Rabbi Kleinbaum's talk at the church that Rabbi James referred to earlier, there is a link in the e-news this week in case you want to see the video. So Shabbat Shalom.
Yes, I will say my mother was actually on the phone with the office this week about the social justice concert because she wanted to make sure she was making an additional donation in addition to paying for like a ticket for her screen from Connecticut. So thank you, because you just kind of reminded me that my mother has been enjoying chatting with the CBST staff this week. We have a lot of really beautiful sponsorships this week. Our service, our live stream tonight, are sponsored by CBST board, clergy, and staff, with thanks and appreciation to Johanna Morn for gracing the Bima with wisdom this Shabbat Behar. And I did make sure that she saw that before she left. Don't worry. I turned the program around and I said, you won't be here at the end. She had to catch a train back to Albany, but there it is. By the CBST Board of Directors, in honor of Rabbi Sharon Kleinbaum for her vision and leadership, we stand behind you in awe and gratitude. By Bruce Pachter, Debbie Metrick, Ira Rosenblum, Larry Finkelstein, Meryl Soloway, Rafaela Anschel, Randy Axelrod, Rick Landman, and Shep Wannen, celebrating the CBST 1952 babies who are turning 70 this year. We're so glad we made it. I love that 1952. Why 1952? It's just like a particular cohort. It's fascinating to me. Anyway, I feel like I need to start with like a 1976 cohort, like, and find all of my bicentennial baby microgeneration folks. There's got to be more of us. By Adria Benjamin and Lori Rhodes, in loving memory of Thelma Benjamin, Zichrona Livracha, you are in our hearts and minds each and every day. By Rachel Monaco and Jennifer Resnick, in memory of our beloved Bubby and grandmother, Rosalind Kindleson, Zichrona Livracha, our moral compass is sorely missed and fondly remembered. By the Poppy Posse, in loving memory of our dear friend Barry Carpel, aka Papi, Zichrono Livracha. I've never used that quite formulation before. May Papi's memory be a blessing, who always channeled his inner Spilkes into a tireless passion for life. He will be forever missed. By Linda Solomon and Bonnie Siegel, to honor Bonnie's mother, Anita Siegel, Zichrona Livracha, on her 23rd yahrzeit on May 25th. Anita overcame childhood illness and cancer to become a fundraiser for cancer care. She is missed by her daughters and their spouses. By Bonnie, Amy, Meryl, Jill, and Batya, in honor of Lori Magid, on her well-deserved recognition by Columbia University in being awarded a Columbia Alumni Medal, Mazel Tov, and those robes you got to wear were really amazing, I have to say. Very fancy, I love it. You should have worn them tonight. By Roseanne and Aura, in honor of Rabbi Dave Yedid, Rabbi, as of yesterday, Rabbi Dave Yedid, Cooperberg Group Master Rabbinical Intern, Rabbi Dave Yedid. I feel like, right, this is that mistake earned my spot on the clergy team. I can stay now because I said it all. And his amazing drasha from last week, Kol HaKavod. If you did not see Dave's graduation yesterday, Rabbi Dave Yedid's graduation yesterday, I believe that is also still visible on the JTS website. And supported by Stott Stahowiak and Kevin Krause to honor the memory of Scott's father, Buck, Zichrono Livracha, 1 year after his passing. May his memory be for a blessing. And by Rachel and Griffin in honor and gratitude for their parents, Kim Geringer and Colin Dunn. We love you. It's a lot of honor, right? It's a lot of lovely honoring. Adon Olam is on page 154. And after Adon Olam, we will do Kiddush and Motzi together.
Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra le'et nasa v'chefza kol azai melech shemo nikra azai melech shemo nikra ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה והוא יהיה בתפארה והוא אחד ואין שני להמשילו, להכבירה, בלי ראשית, בלי תכלית, ולא העוז והמשרה, ולא העוז והמשרה, והוא אלי וחי גואלי, וצור חבלי ויצרה. והוא ניסי ומנוס לי מנת כוסי ביום אקרא מנת כוסי ביום אקרא בידו אפקיד רוחי בעת אישן ועירה ואם רוחי גוויעתי אדוני לי ולא אירא אדוני לי ולא אירא.
Listen to that. See, this is what I missed being only online, was like the harmonies that pull out. Thank you. Sabrina, would you like to join us? We've got a third cup. Clearly, there's a presidential cup here waiting. You know. Page 156, please rise if you are able for Kiddush and Motzi.
יום השישי ויחולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם ויכל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה וישפוט ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי ויקדש אותו כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. סברי חבריי וחברותיי לחיים ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם בורא פרי הגפן ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ורצה בנו ושבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחילנו זיכרון למעשה בראשית כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש זכר ליציאת מצרים כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת עם כל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Amen. Ooh. It's sweet. No, that's fine. And absolutely, in CBST tradition, your comfort level physically or spiritually, we are going to try to reach out and connect as many of us as we can to these challahs. We're gonna, ha 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 ha. Look at this. Look at this. Tzitzi, we're great. We're so connected.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.